Radiant team, ban. Dire team, ban. Radiant team, ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team pick. Radiant team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team pick.
Spirit Breaker.
Dire team pick. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
No.
Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Hello and welcome back to the TI5 America Qualifiers. As you can see here, we are right into the draft. We have North American Rejects going up against Leviathan. Hi guys, how are you doing?
I'm looking forward to this game simply because I feel like both of these teams are a little bit untested in some regards. Like Leviathan just did this like month-long boot camp, right? Mm-hmm. And so we haven't really seen too many games from them. Meanwhile, Narvi, they just 3-2'd Boreal to win the Canada Cup, which is nice, but at the same time, Boreal isn't really a top-tier team.
Right. So yeah, NAR is a lot of people's favorite to be like the second place team. Well, we just saw Mouse Sports, who did a pretty good job facing off against their team at Narvi. A lot of familiar faces. You have some of the staples. North American Rejects, they're named that for a reason. You got some of the old heads. You got the Koroks. You got the Fogs. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be an interesting matchup to see here, I think.
Yeah, I think so. So we actually already have the draft going on. So we can jump right into it. We're actually starting this off with a gyrocopter and clockwork picked up for North American Rejects. Not terribly surprising. Simply the gyrocopter early picked up. The clockwork has a lot of synergy with him. The lion, but the Leviathan pickup splits. You're the guy who knows all about Leviathan. You're kind of their pseudo coach. Queen of Pain, Spirit Breaker, Shadow.
I was
Fiend.
their coach for
pseudo coach.
I was their coach for like 2 games, and I know the players. But I'm
Do
really
they
good
have
friends with
another
the players.
coach though?
I don't know. I haven't
So
talked to
you're their pseudo coach now.
They've been really busy, and I didn't want to say anything because I haven't helped them out as much as I should have. But I'm good friends with them all. And so
So you're saying if they lose, it's your fault?
it's probably my fault. But Leviathan is a very capable team.
Sure.
They had a lot of decent upsets. They play the game pretty well. They play aggressively. And the one thing I like about them is they never play to not lose. Like, they always play to win regardless of the type of position they're in. And so they got the Spirit Breaker, the Queen of Pain, the Shadow Fiend. Pretty farm heavy, but I think that's the kind of way that they want it. The Queen of Pain is obviously just an overall good pickup. I don't think any team can't really play the Queen of Pain, right, honey? Like, it's so iconic to Dota. Like, anybody who's been playing Dota since Dota 1 has at least touched the hero 50 times.
I agree with that. I think Queen of Pain is just one of those heroes. It's really hard to punish. Generally very strong, gives you a lot of 5-on-5. Then the blink ability, especially with the upgrade on the range, is very significant, and overall a really good hero. Other than that, I don't have too much experience on Leviathan in terms of what they play. The only thing that really stands out to me is their Pudge player,
Jenkins.
I've seen
What a
them
legend.
a few times, and they had that Pudge.
Right.
And I was actually hoping to see at least, in one of those games, potentially Pudge.
Yeah. I think if they're going to bust it out, too, it'd be against a team that they're the underdogs against.
Exactly.
Sure. And this is certainly one of the best matches for them to do so. North American Rejects, as Brian was saying earlier, easily number 2, I think, for many people. I know I personally have not today, but I put North American Rejects as my 3rd troll, being the 5th pickup
Okay.
for Leviathan.
All right. I mean, Leviathan loved to play this hero in the previous patches, but we've seen a lot of people just not even give him a shot after his nerfs. Do you think this is a hero that still has a place, Blitz?
I think that the hero's still okay, but he really did get nerfed pretty heavily. And against heroes like the Gyrocopter, where Gyro doesn't really rely on right clicks to do damage, right? It's the Rocket Barrage, and if you don't have a BKB on Troll early, that thing will destroy you. And then the Clockwork as well is just such a good hero against him. The Puck and the Line as well. Like, I just think that pre-BKB, there's too much that they have to get through, and he has to have a monster game. Like, they have to get Roshans early to protect him so he doesn't have to go to the BKB so quickly. Right. And I think that you have to be really far ahead for this hero to kind of work, especially against the type of lineup that they picked it against.
Now, I've kind of felt like this has kind of changed since Gyrocopter is now willing to run like certain more stat builds like SNY, but I've always said that Gyrocopter's alongside like Luna is one of those heroes that's very dependent on BKB, and so usually the best way to deal with him mid-game is you have a single target, very physical damage focused hero in order to try and, his whole job is to take out the Gyrocopter in those fights. Obviously you need a BKB or some sort of massive disable in order to prevent that rocket barrage damage, but do you think that Troll at least fulfills that role, or do you think there's better ways to deal with Gyrocopter?
I just don't know if there's a good way when I see this lineup for them to get on top, right, honey? Like, if you take a look at this lineup, it kind of feels like Troll's going to have some difficulties at getting on top of that Gyrocopter and just like hitting him without any sort of rebuttal.
I mean, to me, the thing that stands out with a Troll pick, generally, of course, with the previous patch, you can first pick Troll, and he will do his job. But the way I like to look at Troll is just what heroes do benefit with Troll. Like, what scenarios do you have where you just Troll ulti, since it's global, and you benefit from it? And you have a Spirit Breaker who really benefits, like crazy amount on the ultimate. Same as Shadow Fiend in the team fight, who's going to deal a lot more damage. Queen of Pain is quite okay as well, since you have a pretty low attack speed, or like the downtime is very high, so it's not too bad either. So you run basically a triple core, and I think that's essential past that nerf, that you get more out of a Troll than just like the hero that goes for Roshan and then eventually is going to have his 6 items.
Right.
So in that sense, I actually like the pick. But yes, he obviously has his downsides as well since the changes, but I think this is one way to make it work.
Exactly. And as that's being said, it looks like we're going to have a team fight, so we're going to pass it away to our casters.
All right, Chad's going to be starting off on Shibby, lean with the Hex. That's easily going to be your first blood. Can they get more, though? Korok is going to be lean with your, but just chases away Flying Zebra. First blood going to NAR version 2.0. So, real quick, Ani, now that we've seen that, let's talk about our last pick that we actually never got to, the Treant Protector. I felt like this was a very solid counter, quite strong versus all the heroes of Leviathan. Any disable particularly a long duration disable is going to be excellent versus the two melee cores. The support Spirit Breaker, I suppose, is also going to be a nice counter. You've got interruption against the Witch Doctor, even if he does get a BKB. You've got the Entangle there, and then decently solid versus Quap, and definitely good versus Quap, but pretty solid versus the Shadow Fiend as well.
I agree. I think Tree was one of those heroes that you actually seen quite early in terms of pick momentum. When you've seen the Troll, it was a common pick to even follow up, even in the early phase of the picks, right? Where you just counter the Troll with a trend. And I think the armor here is actually essentially very strong against this type of lineup.
Oh, Nusha may have just overstayed his welcome, as it looks like he's going to be going down here. A couple more right clicks. The tankiest hero in the game. Nobody else would have survived that, but a Spirit Breaker just manages to get out with 30 HP. Plus, that slight nerf to the Rocket Barrage as well. Particularly that nerf most affects your level 1 Rocket Barrage. I believe it's 4 damage less than the previous version, so that definitely played a large factor in, but manages to get away. Also draws a lot of attention to himself. This is going to buy the Queen of Pain some levels, right?
Definitely. I mean, that was such a close call, right? The Rocket Barrage with the old pre-nerf would have definitely killed him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can see how it does have its effect in the early game, but so far, in terms of laning, you have a dual lane top with the Queen of Pain as well as the Spirit Breaker to pretty much you keep the three heroes of NAR on that safe lane.
Right.
Which results into having a middle matchup in a one-on-one, right? It's really important for Shadow Fiend in a POC matchup. If anyone rotates onto that lane, it's going to be really hard for SF to not feed, right?
You're right.
And I think that it's not too bad of a call. I like dual lanes. Generally, I think it's not too bad to do, but obviously you can't always do it. But in this scenario, it's a pretty good call to do that.
They double rotate over to that top rune. Now, they are going to pick up the battle rune on the Queen of Pain. A little bit surprised. I thought they'd actually give it to the Spirit Breaker just to get that faster level 2. Queen of Pain already has her 2. But the outcome of them being able to miss out on the kill, the wave pushes forward. They get some free experience there. They also have the Treant Protector who went for Leech Seed at level 1, and I believe is now about to hit his level 2. So, that living armor is going to be coming up, at least now, but the first 2 minutes of the game, no living armor to be able to help out those other solos.
I mean, the thing is, right now they're not really in danger, right, of any rotation, so having that living armor obviously is going to help out zoning, like the Puck right now in the mid lane. He might actually...
Oh, yeah, he makes the jump forward. Korak able to secure the first kill there in that middle lane against Shibby.
Great play there, and very important in a one-on-one where you force yourself into a dual off-lane. Your mid lane has to succeed. It's a very essential part, just because if Puck gets an early 6, he can roam, he can move around.
Right.
As well as he can set up middle very, very easy. And that's a common thing to do. Once Puck hits that 6, a person will rotate and is going to set up that kill.
Now, the SF now down in souls, do you think it's necessary, as we see here, for Spirit Breaker to rotate into the middle lane and put pressure on Korak? There's no way Nusham fully makes the commitment, but does he need to kind of keep a constant presence now that the SF has essentially lost his lane for the first 4 minutes?
I mean, one key factor for Nestor middle, right, is once you hit level 5, you can pretty much just nuke out the waves.
Right.
And then you just go into the jungle, you stack, go back, nuke again, and you move back to the jungle, right? So essentially taking Shadow Fiend off farm on the Radiant side is very hard, because he usually can move back towards stacks if he feels not safe on the lane. And in terms of rotation of the Spirit Breaker here, was it essential that he moves there? I felt like it didn't really do anything, because he can pressure Puck. Like, there's no way a charge can go through at all.
Right. Man, the Clockwork has actually gotten quite the number of levels there in that bottom lane, being level 5 now. MSS doing a pretty good job against that dual lane. Of course, the one advantage of a Troll, right, you're able to leave him alone in lane. Clockwork is a bit more dangerous simply because he's got the levels, and with that maxed out battery assault, he might be able to go for the kill, but Troll is by far one of the better cores to leave alone in the lane, right? So the Lion can now sit in the Witch Doctor rather can just sit in that middle lane if necessary and prevent the Puck from being able to dive onto the SF once he's hit that level 6.
Very true, and as we can see, the troll being left alone on the bottom lane against Clock, I feel like it's bottom lane.
Yeah, Shredder might be going down here. MSS with that maxed out battery soul trying to get it, but the extra bit of movement speed, Shredder still being hit, and a right click comes out. MSS barely able to secure it, but now he's just won his lane as well. Middle lane already at a detriment. Now that bottom lane, MSS is about to pick up his level 6. He can stay in lane if he wants to, or he can rotate around and shut down the SF even further. There's a wide range of possibilities now for Narvi, and Leviathan are kind of left with just this dual lane that's doing okay, not really that good.
And this is basically a dream scenario for a Clock. When you hit an early 6,
Oh, middle, Korak actually going to make the jump on a Shibi, but Shibi wins it, just barely eking him out with the right click there. Can only presume that Flying Zebra, with sitting back in that middle lane, was able to provide some assistance.
I'm actually wondering, did he even do something there? I felt like there was a typical Korok play here for me, that he gets...
Yeah, a little too
thinks
over-aggressive.
He has the edge. He can go for the kill. But obviously he did not have enough HP there. I think it was just on the edge of him having that level 6, so he felt like he could do the play before SF is going to get higher levels himself, right? Mm-hmm. It was a slight miscalculation, but now obviously it's going to be quite troublesome, because SF getting those levels, getting that kill, it should not happen.
Mm-hmm. Jenkins chasing away the Train Protector, who did manage to secure the bounty rune. At least keeping it away from the puck for the time being. The SF, as you were talking about earlier, just doing that kind of rinse and repeat. Now full-time jungling. I'm presuming the Witch Doctor, easy 3 or 4 stack for Shibi to be able to get a serious recovery back in the middle lane. I mean, he already kind of had it. Oh, is that a snipe out there? No, I don't think... MSS, unfortunately, unable to grab any of those last hits. It's only a level 1 rocket. Hard to do anyway. But... both of these heroes are quite susceptible to Clockwork Gank. If he lands a hook here, it'll be a kill. Korok looping around. Nope, they're going to make the jump on a Flying Zebra here with the orb over the top. That's an easy pickoff. Nice cast to bounce around. MSS might take some good amount of nuke damage. Double raises go out, and he is being charged, but the living armor is coming into play. Can Nusham actually do the damage necessary? Battery Assault takes him back. They do get the poison on MSS. Now turning to go for Korok at the same time. MSS with a beautiful cog block, and NAR managed to seemingly get away here. As the Train Protector with the Invis does manage to sneak out. Attempted raises go out, but then to range of the invisibility is just so great. And managing to jump from that one cluster of trees farther down manages to keep him alive and away from Leviathan's grasp.
Unfortunately, by Leviathan, I felt like if they were committing for the right target, which in my eyes was the Clockwork, because getting a puck in this scenario is very difficult, right? And if they actually all went for the Clockwork, I felt like with a lockdown that the Spirit Break at that point provided, they could have potentially gotten a Clockwork. And Clockwork at this point is level 6.
I mean, he did so well in his lane that he would have been a high value kill, right?
Definitely, and I think it would have been the right play there to go for the Clockwork instead of trying to get the target that will most likely not happen, right?
Yep. So, pretty standard Leviathan doing a lot of stacking here as they have both a Troll and an SF. Both of those heroes get a lot of value out of being able to do their jungles. So, nice little triple or quad stack there in the hard camp for a Troll maybe to take, or maybe even the SF. Troll sitting on just the phase boots and a little bit of lifesteal there through the Morbid Mask, while Shibi has his treads, Aquila, wand, not much else besides that.
I think overall the lane distribution right now is quite good for Leviathan. If the Witch Doctor would sit instead on the mid lane to just like soak some of the experience, even if he gets hookshot, it's not that big of a deal. But you will get the essential experience right now.
Right.
And I think for NAR here right now, I think they need to rotate. They have to focus on shutting these junglers down. Troll as well as Shadow Fiend, they get so much farm in the jungle right now, where essentially NAR is not getting the same, right? They don't have the flash farmer in the forest, and I feel like they just need to watch out that they're not getting too far away from securing those early kills, which are essential for NAR here.
MSS faking out the hook, but really difficult against Spirit Breaker. Not only is he super tanky, but he can also charge out pretty easily. And as you said, I mean, you can see it right here. The Witch Doctor's actually sitting on Shibi. This is how much attention they're paying to the cores, but it may be a downfall because you've got, as you said, 2 different cores who are able to utilize the jungle, yet you're not taking the opportunity to grab that free lane that is open, both the middle and bottom lane.
They're going for the smoke rotation now towards the bottom jungle, but I felt like this movement could have happened just a bit earlier.
Sure.
You're given the jungle towards Leviathan here, and we might see a hookshot.
Yeah, MSS, he sees the pull. and hoping to be able to get it. Newsham perhaps very fortunate that he managed to miss the connection there of the pull, and that actually results him from being out of the position of NAR. The 10-minute mark about to hit here. We'll see whether or not Newsham does in fact get picked off. The Terrain Protector with his invisibility does spy him out, but they're kind of centering up on that troll right now. Level 8 Clockwork shows himself in lane, and it seems like Leviathan, they've read this pretty well. They can see gank has got to be coming either the bottom lane or the middle, and the middle's not a threat because SF is doing jungle.
The one thing I like from the supports here of Leviathan is the distribution of supporting their cores. They know Troll is all alone bottom, so he plays very, very passive. In the mid lane, the Shadow Fiend can play a bit more aggressive, right? But he has to back up. So I think the distribution on how they attempt these lanes and support the cores, right, where TPs can still come in. Right now, the movement of Leviathan on the support is very good.
Oh, Jenkins is going to have to blink away. The missile is going to chase him down for a while. That missile is so obnoxious. I mean, even if you leave it at level 1, it's just very hard for solo offlaners to deal with that now. Ush is going to take some damage from Newsham, but he's got no backup whatsoever. In fact, Newsham's actually going to go down instead as he gets hooked by a hook shot, locked inside the cogs, and the ultimate from Ush will help seal the deal. So MSS picks up yet another kill. Just a bit of really silly play from Leviathan. No need to make that charge. You can maybe get to lane with the charge, but no need to get that close to the gyrocopter when you've got no backup. The Queen of Pain would send back to base.
I think the idea behind it was good. He wanted to force TPs and back off, right?
Sure.
But obviously he just went a bit too far. When you make that play and you're this far in, you have to attempt even dodging a follow-up hookshot. And the one hero that just catches you off guard, especially if you don't have any blink mechanism, is going to be the Clockwork. So what the Spirit Breaker attempted there was a good idea. Just the execution of it was rather poor.
A tier 1 tower going down in the top lane. Not much Newsham can really do about that one. He really needs to get his level 6, so good opportunity for him to sit in lane, and perhaps our Queen of Pain, she's low right now, but maybe headed back to base and eventually showing her face. As she's been kind of AFK at that top lane for a while, making sure to get those levels, kind of make up, right? You can't have an off-lane Queen of Pain and expect her to be nearly as impactful at the 10-15 minute mark as a mid-lane Queen of Pain, solely because you're going to be down in levels.
For sure. Overall, I think that in terms of rotation, Leviathan could try to attempt smoking very soon. Right now, the Queen of Pain ultimate is down, so you might want to wait a bit longer. But right now, we have the timing of the Shadow Fiend with a mechanism, and I think they need to opt to going towards a tower push, using that mechanism. At the same time, they can sit down, can sit back as well, and just farm on because they have 3 cores. Essentially, going into late game, I think their late game, from my point of view, is a lot stronger than the side of NAR.
So Leviathan, maybe just like a 4-man smoke and leave the troll to just continue to do his jungle and the safe lane while the 4 of them try to utilize that early mech. Because most of the time you don't try and get your troll real active, right? He's kind of an AFK from 15 to like 25. I'm not sure if like the new patch will play into like his activity at all, but the old troll at least was very much, I need SNY and I need BKB.
I do agree, and they have the troll ulti to still be
true. Yeah,
sort
absolutely.
of active with a hero, right?
Yeah, and you pointed out like how strong the troll ultimate is with a Leviathan team. The cores get a big benefit out of. Well, I keep wanting to say cores, but the Spirit Breaker support and the SF, obviously.
I mean, one crucial factor right now for Leviathan here is the level of Spirit Breaker. I feel like you essentially need the level 6, and I do not believe he is level 6 yet, which is very essential to their team fight.
Yeah, he just picked up his level 6, so they're ready to fight maybe now, but they've already lost 2 towers, and NAR are actually going to make a full-on rotation into the enemy jungle, see if they can catch somebody out, or at least kind of starve out Leviathan. They know the jungle is a very popular place for Leviathan to be farming up. With an SF and Troll, it's obviously going to be utilized quite heavily. So even if you don't manage to catch somebody, at least you're taking that farm away. Shredder, though, with the right idea, rotating to the opposite side of the map. Jungle's in trouble. Time to go up to top lane. Maybe you can even take some of the, maybe that hard camp or maybe the pull camp away from the dire side.
We see a rotation here by Leviathan towards top lane. They're just going to dodge the fight. But are they going to manage to get anything out of this? Or is there going to be a defense by NAR?
Yeah, this is kind of only successful, right, if NAR managed to, like, actually TP to try and shut down the troll and defend their tower. But looks like the rotation's going to come middle instead, where Shibi, with his illusions, is going for the tower. I like the way Shibi moved there, making sure to keep his illusions, sort of backing him up. There's no straight line for the hook shot for MSS to go on. And that top lane is going to end up falling here if no more rotations come out. Probably the smart thing, though, from NAR not to go for that, right? Nobody showed up bottom. They got to be middle. They got to be top.
I mean, the moment they knew Clockwork was middle, since he rocketed, and then you kind of know where the position of Clockwork is, right?
Yeah.
As well as seeing the line, there's no initiation really happening for NAR. So in that sense, Leviathan is safe in taking the top tower, and they knew that.
The early medallion coming out from Fogged is actually going to allow them to take Roshan with some ease here. Not even trading out the tier 2, as Leviathan are only just now getting there. They probably were trying to play a little bit safe. I saw the two supports kind of sitting behind that troll out of sight. And unfortunately for them, they either didn't realize Roshan was happening, or they just didn't really want to go for that like kind of full-on push.
I mean, it was hard to... The thing is, with taking that top tower, you kind of knew that they rotated there with TPs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So defending a Roshan is rather tough in that spot, especially when you have a puck with a blink dagger, right? Who essentially is going to come to you.
Oh, Newsham actually gets caught there by MSS. Once again, the combination of the Clockwork and the Gyrocopter lays waste to that 4 position. Meanwhile, Troll gonna just clear through his ancient stack that his supports and, of course, his Helmet Dominator creep has been so kind to stack up for him. It's 1-6 right now, 16 minutes in. You can see the top of the net worth being the SF, but quickly followed by both the Puck and the Gyrocopter. Shredder a little bit farther behind in that net worth board. I think the biggest thing being the supports, both in levels and net worth, are quite a bit higher for the North American rejects than the side of Leviathan.
I think overall Leviathan can still be happy with these kind of trades. As long as they get form in their cores, I don't think they're looking bad at all. I think Gyrocopter is taking their stacks right now. I'm not sure how big that stack is. Oh, he's taking a huge stack himself, so that's going to boost his farm a lot. But you're going to run with a single core Gyrocopter against an almost tri-core ish on the side of Leviathan.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite things about the 4 position Spirit Breaker is the fact that you can, like, you're really good against single core lineups because you charge that core and then you ultimate him, and that's, you know, good 4 or 5 seconds of disable that goes through BKB, which is awesome. Of course, we see our Gyrocopter. He's not going for BKB yet, going for the SNY build that we discussed earlier. Again, stats oriented builds. I like it quite a bit. Jenkins actually gets caught out there by Blink. Well played. The first Blink Dagger pickup. We saw that earlier, but the first reveal shows that Leviathan are no longer safe with that intelligence core, and probably the SF has got to be pretty scared as well.
Definitely. I think, you know, usually you see the line rotations not too often before, you know, like you get the finger, and then I think the one essential part towards using Lion, using his ability that he can kill someone at level 6, right? I think Fenrir is like the perfect example of executing the hero to its maximum, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you have level 6, you use the setup to instant kill someone. Pretty much one support that has nothing but boots can still kill a core, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen that. Of course, it happened with the Blink Dagger now, which is essentially a lot easier, right? But I feel like he could have potentially used the finger a bit earlier. I think this is the first showing of him using that finger, but it was definitely, not expected since he just showed up with a Blink Dagger. But a very important kill.
Yeah, quite the impactful pickoff. 2 minutes until the Aegis is down. Presumably, North American Rejects is going to make the full 5-man rotation into that middle lane. They seem to really be punishing Leviathans. I'm not going to say... I don't want to say they're too hesitant, but they just aren't putting as much pressure on the side lanes, maybe just because they want to keep... They've got a tri-core lineup, right? You want to make sure that all your cores are getting farmed. But they're just not putting as much pressure on the side lane, so it feels like Leviathan aren't even getting anything really good out of this trade-offs. I mean, look at it right now. Leviathan have 2 bottom, 2 middle, 1 top. They're not getting any farm. They're not pushing any towers. They're essentially getting nothing while their tower falls.
I guess the big problem for them is the initiation. They have a Queen of Pain, which does not offer any stun. They have a Witch Doctor who I would not say it's not the greatest stun in the world either, right? And apart from that, you have a Troll that needs a lot of farm and a Shadow Fiend that needs just a lot of farm. You have no lockdown, so going for trying to get a pick off on the side of NAR is very simple. You have a puck, right, who will just blink in, stun, and you most likely get a kill. Same with Lion, who can do the same. Same with Clockwork, who can do the same. So they go for these plays as 5. They get the pick-offs on the side of NAR, but I feel like it's really hard for Leviathan to do this. And I feel like they need to work a bit more on the split pushing factor to force them back, right? Right now they're just giving up all these outer towers, and essentially NAR is just moving away. Like, it's too much gold you're giving away.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting stat. Bleak and Fogged averaging 28.9% of the total team gold since DAC, second highest in the U.S. region. It's funny because I've always felt like NAR, maybe this is just a change up in style a bit, but I've felt like they give a lot of room to Ush and Korok, right? Ush and Korok being the two that get so much net worth percentage out of their team. And then like MSS, Fogged, and Bleak all go for like a little bit just space creation in many ways. And I feel like MSS's Clockwork is probably one of the ideal pickups for them in that regard. It's definitely a space creating hero.
Very true. And I like this comparison towards, the previous game. It's like the third game now we have a Clockwork in the game, and it seems like in all these games, Clockwork has been such a big issue just because he got way too early, like these levels. And I feel like you just have to look, you see that Clockwork, and you have to kind of learn like how is he that effective, and essentially it comes down to that he just gets too much room. You don't punish him, you don't give him like a hard time on that lane, and it seems to be very hard for Leviathan to stop the Clockwork and stop the momentum by getting those towers.
I mean, really all he needs is levels, right? And he can kind of get that through cog blocking, right? He sits there, body blocks the creeps, uses the cogs to keep some of them in, and the wave will inevitably push towards his tower, and he gets a decent amount of experience out of that. What are some of the better ways to deal with a Clockwork, do you think, in the laning phase? Just one full dedicated support that makes sure that he has to do cog blocking in order to get anything? Or do you try and make rotations around, like do the whole wrap around the Dire Tower and catch him out and gank him? What's the best play?
I think one way obviously is you try to give him as little as possible in start, and then you do the move around, right? You pressure the lane and you just essentially kill him under the tower.
Right. He's going to get something eventually.
Yeah, or you zone him from the tower, right?
Okay, yeah.
Where you move in. The other way is that I feel like you can usually counterplay to whatever the offlaner does, right? If the offlaner decides to do the Clockwork, which he can to get experience, then you can pull yourself potentially your way. If you just pull it as well, you see the block coming. Obviously, it's going to be a big push coming at one point off the Clockwork, since he can't clock for like the entire time, right?
Right, exactly.
But you can for sure deny his experience. When he blocks, you pull, your supports are going to get experience. If you have a lane ward, you know where Clockwork is, most likely.
Charge coming in. Bleak actually managed to turn around, gets the Hex now. Bleak is still getting out through that Queen of Pain ultimate. Meanwhile, you see on the left-hand side, Shredder and Nusham locking down Ush. They're trying to deal with that one position, but with a good interception from MSS, the Cogs make sure those two cores are trapped, but the ultimate comes out. Ush ends up falling. NAR just a little bit too split out, but Korok leads with the ultimate there in order to lock down Flying Zebra, but doesn't have the damage to finish him off. Needs to provide an escape. Jenkins actually jumping in for this one, but will not be able to have enough mana to slow anybody else down. The rest of North American rejects managed to get out, but a big win there for Leviathan, losing the Spirit Breaker, but most importantly killing that the Gyrocopter. Ush going down was a huge swing in net worth for them.
Very important kill indeed, and I think if this happens one or two more times for the side of Leviathan, NAR seriously has to watch out, because you have a single core, and on the side of Leviathan, sure, they don't have the best pickup, but if they can choose to fight, like if they have a good response towards the opening of NAR, I think it's going to be very scary going into the mid-late game. And right now they have the BKBs, so taking these fights, Puck is one of those heroes that you're really good before the BKB, and then you get better again when the BKBs are about to run out, right?
Right.
But in the phase where you fight against 8, 9, 10 second BKBs, you are essentially quite weak. If the fight starts and you get the BKB off and Puck is just inside, like he can't be the initiator anymore. It has to be a Clockwork, and if Gyrocopter is your only damage dealer at that point, it's really hard to take these fights on the side of NAR.
Yeah. So in which case, because of the fact that NAR, they're still very much ahead in net worth and everything else, but they can't afford to lose too many fights. You just wait out Roshan at this point, right? Go for the Roshan fight, get Aegis, and at that point, like, if you lose a fight with Aegis, you've done something wrong. Flying Zebra gonna go down nice and quick as Korak's able to take him out solo. The charge misses there. He's able to phase shift and blink himself away. What do you think about this build? The Necronomicon pickup from Korak allows them some extra uphill pushing, obviously quite good in conjunction with the coil. It's not unheard of. Oh, MSS actually managed to lock down Chibi. Now he does have a BKB. Pops it, lets loose the ultimate, but MSS, the clever little guy, he's got himself a force staff, able to get out of range nice and quick. Nusham, that was close. MSS almost there with the battery assault, and Bleak almost there with the Hex, but Nusham does manage to get out.
Going back to your point, the book 3 on Puck it's actually a very old school build.
Yeah.
I think the first time I've seen this was probably Vigas playing the Puck, who used to always get book 3 on Queen of Pain or Puck. Like, it was very standard. I think book kind of fades off. I think it is actually quite strong if you can get it in a decent time.
Sure.
It gives you good momentum, push momentum, as well as you can deny wards, which I think it's part of its essentials for book 3. But
Right.
if you get a book 3 and you can deny the entire vision because you're in a lead, right? You don't have to go for that gem, which is more of a risky thing, right? You lose your gem, the opponent team gets the gem, they can deny all the wards from you. So I like it in a way. It makes the hero also more tanky. And from the book 3, what I like to do is you rotate into more of a carry-ish role, where you get some damage.
And then it says, ooh, unfortunate there. He actually gets a force staff out, pushed back inside of his cogs by Nusham. Hook shot away to the side where Ash is sitting there. Nicely played as he manages to get himself out of a very sticky situation. Now, they can't really fight. They've got 2 members that aren't even on this side of the map, so MSS and the rest of the gang are probably going to back up here. But Leviathan not finding the pickoff they were really searching for. I mean, Clockwork by himself isn't the most ideal pickoff with the smoke, but they couldn't even get that much.
It's a very hard pickoff as well.
Yeah.
You face a force staff, you face a hook shot, getting that kill, especially sitting on 1600 HP, is going to be very hard. And you don't have a line on your side. I guess one thing to mention here is that NAR has a line initiation, and I think that's one of those key factors. You need to dagger jump at that point.
Yeah.
If you get a core of a Hex and into a kill, right, which can easily happen, it kind of sets them into winning that fight. Whereas right now they have the...
Oh, Jenkins! He's been caught here by the coil. The silence, they quickly clean him up with a support of Ash. Nusham also going to be going down here as he was the second man inside that coil. MSS looking for more here. Reveals Flying Zebra, but unable to really keep on him.
Clockwork is farmed.
Yes, he is. He's sitting right there in the number 5 position of net worth.
He almost finishes his items here. At that point, the thing is, usually with the Clockwork, the hero in itself is so good, right? But you often just don't get the items because he's not the best farmer.
Yeah, you're an initiator, you're usually going to die in the fight. It's a trade-off, right?
But when you manage to get those items, the hero gets very, very efficient. And you know what, even, like, it deserves that early pickup of the hero. But obviously, if your game does not go that well, you might end up not doing that much. Of course, you have a sort of BKB disable with that hook shot, but other than that, and you can cog a bit, but it's often not the greatest first 2 picks. But if you have these kind of games, right, where Clock can excel in the early game and he gets this momentum, the hero is so worth it. But you know, like, you just have to punish that.
Yeah.
There's downsides to getting a Clock, and you just have to figure out what's the right way to work around that hero.
Yeah.
And so far, none of the teams can handle this Clockwork, and he seems to be the driving factor in these kind of fights.
Just going to pop the ultimate here. Now, Jenkins actually runs in and ends up getting caught by Bleak with the quick blink in and Hex. Again, this poor intelligence core is stuck in such a bad position. A blind hook out there ends up missing. And MSS, is he actually going to throw the rocket here? Another 1 second. And it looks like he will be able to get out. A bit unfortunate. MSS just naturally assumed, oh, he's got a TP, but didn't take into factor that the cooldown was actually down.
I mean, he tried to attempt that hook shot, right?
Yeah.
He went for it. He couldn't get that kill, and then he assumed the hero was out. He still had his smoke on him, so if he moved up there to actually check it, right, he could have potentially figured out that the hero is still there, given that he still had that smoke.
Ooh, Korak. Phase shift to dodge and gets off the silence coil as well, holding him in, leaves the Necronomicon minions there as he gets the hell out of dodge. And the 3 members there of Leviathan unable to get a kill on Korak because he is such a slippery little devil, and of course with that amount of tension in that bottom lane, he's able to make sure that Ush is able to take that tier 2 in the top lane, and Ush is actually going to keep on going at least a little bit of poke uphill just to draw some attention from Leviathan as now Korak goes for the push at bottom.
And I guess essentially it shows to me the Queen of Pain pick here by Leviathan feels a bit weak. They don't have a lockdown.
Yeah.
They have nothing to really, like, shut down any of these heroes. They always have to just counter-initiate, which is, like, essentially the weakness for this kind of strat. If you, for example, would have had the Spirit Breaker just as an offlaner, you would just have Spirit Breaker as an offlaner. Essentially, he gets farmed, right? And Queen of Pain, and you have a different support. Maybe a Disruptor, if Lion was still in the pool, something like that,
Yeah.
So you can pick someone off, but all they can do is sit back, wait behind, and hope to get the right counter initiation.
Yeah, I really feel like the Queen of Pain hasn't done much, but I would really put that down to the lack of initiation, right? The Queen of Pain needs the kind of room, especially if you're not a mid lane Queen of Pain. You're a little bit under-farmed and under-leveled. You need some sort of really strong initiator, and Spirit Breakers just isn't it. It's not good versus Puck. It's not good versus the Clockwork, especially once he's got that Force Staff. It hasn't been shown to be particularly strong against the others. I mean, you've got a Lion with a Blink Dagger, of course. The charge just seems so ineffective. I really feel like, if it was available, obviously, another melee initiator would have been much better, say like the Earthshaker, whose kind of instant initiation is able to always, provide a serious impact. This early pick up the Spirit Breaker just not doing it for Leviathan.
Yeah, Shaker gives you the instant stun. Very good. I think other heroes could be Disruptor, Rubik, something that's good against a Clockwork, right? You have the Lift, which works really well against a Clockwork, but yeah, they just dropped it. They can't deal, right? They can't deal with a Clockwork or anyone on this side at all.
Jesus, look at this. North American rejects are pushing just so aggressively into the base. Ush is just in there. I'm hitting your tower, and you gotta come deal with me eventually. And the rest of the team is just waiting to make that counter initiation now. The Aghanim Scepter only just now being picked up by the Queen of Pain 31 minutes in. You can spam it out, but I don't think Ush would really care. I mean, he's got enough stats. He can tank that ultimate and still feel pretty comfortable. And obviously, he's still got that Aegis in hand. Waiting to be blown here. Tier 3 tower. Oh, jump in. Jenkins actually going to be caught inside the cogs. They leap in and manage to get a Scythe of Ice from Korak there. Onto Jenkins to finish him off, and Leviathan, no response from them whatsoever. Ush is actually going to force them back with the last couple of flat cannon shots on that melee Rax, and it hits the rest of the Leviathan members. They take one lane of Rax and aren't stopping just yet. They're going to keep on going now for the middle lane of Rax, knowing that Shredder is desperately trying to push in that top lane. They're trying to say, hey, Troll, you got to get back to base. You got to fight us. This is going to be the fight that ends the game. You can't just try and rat us out here. The tier 3 falls. Melee Rax going to go down. Looks like they're just giving it up for a second here. Jump in. Flying Zebra takes a good amount of damage. Pops him with Korak. The follow-up there. Chad just takes a small amount of damage, but nothing major. Meanwhile, Shredder's working on that tier 3 tower, but it seems like 2 lanes of Rax are going to go down, and Shredder won't even get a single Rax out of that. The TP's back are going to force him away. Oh, MSS, a little bit unfortunate there. The creeps get in his way. But sure enough, 2 lanes of Rax go down in exchange for a tier 3. You'll take that trade every single time. Leviathan, do you think it was the right idea to go for split push and they just couldn't fight because they would lose the fight and the game would end from there? Or do you think he should have come back?
I mean, giving up Rax to not get another Rax trade is always obviously a bad trade. But looking at the potential defense that Leviathan can put up here, there is none.
Yeah.
They can't kill anyone.
So maybe there wasn't a better option than just trying to go for the split push, right?
They went for the split push, but it just shows the weakness of this kind of draft, right?
Yeah.
You can't just go for Ush, who is sitting in front, pretty much in front of everyone, to just tank up, and since he has an Aegis, it doesn't really matter, right? But you can also not burst him, so you don't just take the Aegis and then, you take the fight afterwards.
Yeah. Time for those desperation smokes. If only they had the MKB, they'd probably feel comfortable contesting. But the butterfly from Ush is just so strong. They need the MKB desperately now. Ush is going to be targeted here. They're going to try and blow him up. MSS to intercept, but it's still the gyrocopter who ends up falling to the ultimate. MSS may also go down to tick, 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 and there it is. Jenkins cleans it up with a scream. 2 go down from the side of North American Rejects, and it seems like the desperation smoke from Leviathan does give them something to hold on to in this first game.
And I think NAR can't just like blindly do whatever they feel like doing because they think the game is over. They still have to win.
Ooh, Jenkins going to be caught here by the Korok, quickly cleaned up by Korok. Man, those Necronomicon minions just so damn strong against any of those intelligence heroes. The supports, it's so fun just to be able to jump in, coil, drop the Necronomicon. Half the time, Korok can just get the hell out of there and let the Necronomicon minions do their work.
And it seems like he is about to finish his Aghanim's unless he goes for that Scotty route. I was mentioning earlier where I think Book 3 often scales quite well going into a more, like that physical damage route where you can get a Scotty into like an MKB or whatever. He could choose to just get the Aghanim since they're so far ahead and it doesn't really matter too much. It's obviously really good against the BKBs, right? You control a troll. And that's a core pickup.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Fairy Dragon. Korok manages to snipe out the courier. And, we'll see. Yep, there it is. He just bought the Aghanim Scepter. So now the BKBs are going to be a lot more useless for Leviathan as that snapback. I mean, they just have to sit in the coil. They can't afford to have BKB activated, snap the coil, and lose 5 seconds of their magic immunity being stunned up like that.
Very true, and that's very dangerous against the gyrocopter as well. Let's say you get a coil on the 2 carries. Obviously, in most scenarios, that would be quite bad, right?
Sure.
But if it would happen, gyrocopter has an easy time to just sit there and flak cannon.
Throw down, call down to slow him down, flak cannonball down. It's a free time for a gyrocopter.
And
once
he
with that call.
just has so much damage already. He's working on an MKB right now, unless it's a crit, but I do believe it's going to be the MKB against the troll, right? And once he has that, this kind of combination in a team fight is very crucial. You don't live through it.
And we're just talking about the cores. We've got an Aghanim Scepter picked up by the Terrain Protectors, so those Ice in the Forest are going to start being spammed out. And then our other support, Bleak, also known as Chad. Apparently he wanted to change his name. He's also going to go for an Aghanim Scepter, so that 20-second cooldown going to be available soon. Korok is going to be charged. Unfortunate blink forward there that ends up getting him almost instant hit by the Spirit Breaker. Quick pick off there from Leviathan, but they got to head back to base where the creeps are pushing in and threatening those tier 4s.
And the funny part is that gank attempt wouldn't even have worked if he had just a tiny bit of chance to see it coming.
Yeah.
But he jumped into the charge. It was very unfortunate there. If he went into the woods and would have TP'd out, or he would have just seen them coming, the entire gank would not have worked whatsoever.
Yeah. All right, well, time for North American Rejects to take that third Roshan. So this will be Aegis and Cheese, plus a finish up of the MKB from the gyrocopter. Leviathan have no idea what's going on. They are going to try and make a movement over to the Roshan pit, but it seems like it's just going to be too late. The smoke will get them there close, but there goes the Aegis, picked up by the gyrocopter. Cheese also going to be grabbed. Dust actually going off there. It's kind of interesting. Leviathan must have made a misclick there. So I can't imagine. I don't think any of their smokes broke, so I don't think they would have thought the gyrocopter, the tree was near.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but they were too late. I think they could have considered trying to take that fight just because they know a puck is he's down, right?
Sure.
He can buy back, but then you force a buyback. Taking a 4-4 at that point to potentially drop an Aegis, if you can, would be great. Because NAR is just going to do the same thing that they did to middle and bottom lane. They will just push the lane together as 5 and just sit behind the gyrocopter. He's managed to finish his MKB now as well, so defending high ground is going to be almost impossible.
Yeah, and that Shiva's pickup from MSS is also going to be very hard to deal with as well. These guys are just going to get too tanky. So North American Rejects, they're just going to go for that last push, it seems, as the rest of them are beginning to group up in the top lane. Same thing as we saw before. Ush on the front lines with the Aegis, saying, come and get me if you want. I've got that extra life. Leviathan this time around, though, have to defend. They can't afford to be letting mega creeps go down. at 38 minutes in. So what's the play here from Leviathan? What is their initiation? Does Newsham try and find some sort of awkward situation to charge in, maybe from the right or left-hand side?
I think what they have to do is potentially, you start with the Queen of Pain, lowering you have to kind of lower more than just the gyrocopter, but getting him low so they don't actually have to use that much, right? Mm-hmm. It would be the play, but it's very difficult at this point.
Yeah. North American Rejects, I mean, they know it's down to us. Zebra is actually going to be caught here. MSS quickly forced out as the Troll and Jenkins are coming in for the right-hand side, trying to go up with the tree. Beautiful ultimate there, locking in those BKB cores. Jenkins is going to die on the right-hand side. Finger of Death to blow him up. The tree goes down in return. Ush is dropping quite low, but again, that is the Aegis. Sight Device comes in to save him. Finally, Ush does go down. Ultimate, no! Interrupted there. MSS locks down Shimi. Round 2, though, and MSS takes a full amount of damage. Ends up going down. Can they deal with Korok, though? The ultimate going down is chasing away both him and Korok Ush. They both get away, but it is a one fight for Leviathan. They managed to find the entry on the right-hand side that kind of got them the advantage that they needed. It would seem like a very broken and disjointed fight for North American Rejects and wasn't the clean sort of setup that they were looking for.
What happened there was the Witch Doctor, the bounce of the stunt, went onto the line that just wanted to jump in. So it was very unfortunate.
Yeah.
He wanted to stun Finger the core, but he did not manage to do that, right? And then what happened is he went in, and pretty much everyone focused on getting, I think it was it the Queen of Pain or the Spirit Breaker? I think it was the Spirit Breaker. Everyone like kind of shifted.
Yeah, the Queen of Pain just blew up from the Finger of Death, so they all focused on him.
And it split the fight into two scenarios, right? Yeah. Which ended up being very good for Leviathan there, just because the puck coil went down as the gyrocopter died. So the damage that would have been there when the coil was still active would have been great, but unfortunately gyrocopter just went down when the call went down, so essentially there was no damage. And since you're not forced to move at all because gyrocopter is dead, right, the fight just turns into your advantage.
So what's the build here for a Shredder? Flying Zebra probably going to be going for the BKB, but what does our Troll go with? 3,300 gold. Is Satanic his item?
I mean, Satanic would be one for sure. The other thing I see is that he might have to get something like maybe a Manta plus Dagger, splitting up the Sentry, because you need a tool to remove the tree out.
Yeah, we saw how effective that was. He popped BKB and then was held there.
And I think if they actually manage to jump the gyrocopter and just hit him down, he has enough damage right now. He has an MKB. Troll does not need... he needs one damage source of an item. And all other items can be pretty much utility, right?
Right.
Movement speed.
Double hexes. Jenkins is done for. No way he's getting out.
Yeah. And it looks like just a final push on the top lane for NAR here.
Oh, 660 gold away from buyback. That's super unfortunate. Jenkins not going to be a hero for this fight, but they're immediately going to jump in. Chad is going to be the first one down as Shredder looks for the other support. Meanwhile, Shibby fights up against Ush, but they do get the overgrowth in, holding in those cores. Ultimate being let loose from Shibby does a decent amount of damage. Shredder's still alive, but he's trying to go for Ush, and he just won't win that fight. And with MSS making the entrance there from the side, they'll catch Shibby as well. 3 go down, a buyback from their Troll. So, well, there's our answer in what he invests into, but he's got to make a fight here. And it's going to be 1 versus 2, essentially. Shredder, oh no, he can't even take on Ush. This is going to be the last. Rax going down. MSS catches him, and sure enough, GG. Good game, well played. Leviathan drop game number 1 against North American Rejects.
GG indeed, and essentially it came down to that Leviathan had no way of initiation here. They have a Witch Doctor stun. It's a really hard tool to initiate with, right? And that's pretty much it. You have a Spirit Breaker charge, you see it coming, but it's single target, right?
Yeah.
There's no lockdown. Essentially, they needed another hero that can pretty much jump in, and I feel like they would have been safe in this scenario. They could have taken these 5-on-5s. I don't think they were far behind. Troll got his farm.